Words of Wisdom is brought to you by Essentia Health and TV3 and LB Video Productions.
My name is Russel Kent. I live 3 miles east of Ogama, and I've lived here all my life, other than when I was in the service in World War II. I grew up in what we call the dirty 30s. Yeah, we had dirt blowing in the yard clear from Montana. Yeah, and it was miserably cold back then. 30, 35, 40 below at this time of year, which now is like a tropics, this kind of weather. Yes, but oh my, and we grew everything that we ate. We always had a big garden, and pork, my mother would cure it all. Beef we let hang in the wintertime, cut off a chunk when we wanted it. But if it turned warm, we canned it all. So everything was homegrown. The only thing we ever bought was, well, like staples, flour, sugar, salt and pepper, things like that. Yeah. I had one brother and one sister, both older than me. My brother was 10 years older than me. My sister was 4 years older than me.
And so did you help your mom in the garden?
Oh yeah. I even helped her in the kitchen. I learned how to bake bread. 14 loaves at a time. Back then, we farmed everything with horses until the late 40s. Or late 30s, we bought our first tractor, yeah.
How many acres did you farm with the horses?
320. It took a while. 5 horses on a gang plow. Yeah. You put a lot of hours sitting on that plow. Yeah.
And then how did you harvest?
We thrashed with thrash machine. The neighbors would all get together and help each other pitch bundles and haul the grain to the granaries, and we ate some awful big meals back then. It seemed like every place we went tried to have a better meal than the place before. I started pitching bundles when I was 13 years old. I had my own team trained, and I never had to touch a line. They'd go up and down the rows just by themselves and always come on the opposite side, so you could load one side and then to the other, and one side and to the other till you were loaded.
And what were you pitching?
Well, grain bundles, oats bundles, wheat bundles, whatever. I even pitched a lot of corn bundles in January, or mostly December, but even into January.
And so how did they get cut?
We cut them with a horse binder and with a wrapped string, twine string around the bundles, yeah.
How did you weed the field?
The weeds? Well, back then there wasn't any spray, so you usually summer followed a part of your ground every year so that you could kill the weeds. So you always had to keep one field nice and black so that that's how you killed the weeds. The ladies from White Earth would come out and they'd ask if they could pick the mustard seeds in the fields. And Dad always said, sure. And there'd probably be 15 to 20 ladies. I married Ramona Halsworth. She was from Jamestown, North Dakota. And it's interesting how I met her. Through our church. We had what we called our Pilgrim Fellowship group, and we were to meet up at Westerber's for a regular meeting. Well, there were no roads then. It was just the old wagon trails. But we had a 37 Chevrolet car with knobby tires on the back, weed bar chains over top of that, and so did Melvin Peterson. So we all met right on the hill up here. And Mona happened to be here from Jamestown visiting her sister, Emma Wolf. And don't you suppose when we went to load up in the two cars, everybody, she sat in the middle in the front seat, and that's how I met her. And it's interesting because girls were on one side of the room at Westerber's and the boys on the other. And I told Melvin Peterson, I said, you see that girl over there? That's the girl I'm going to marry. And he always teased me after that because when I got out of the service, we got married. Yeah, we had 10 children, 2 boys, 8 girls, and they're all here with us yet, and some close around me, and some in Arizona, some in Mississippi, but yeah, we had a little over 50 years together. Yeah, she was one beautiful lady. Yeah. Mona and I went to town and got groceries, and we stopped over here, and then we lived a mile north and a half a mile west from here. And anyway, to go home, we were going north through the old trail, and kind of like a cut bank. And when we were going down that trail, a cougar jumped to the head of Dan. He was my horse on the right side. And of course, they let out. He was part Bronco, so he knew what to do. Well, we took a ride, and we got down in the bottom. We lost all our groceries from going over the snowbanks. And when we finally got to the old turnoff, Mona and I were sitting on the front bunk of that sled with our feet on the roller. How we did that, I have no idea, because we lost the flat rack, we lost the back runners of the sled, everything. I don't know how we ever did that. But anyway, the next day we went back and looked, and the cougar tried to eat chewed into the cans, and had teeth marks into it and everything. And anyway, Freddie Perro from White Earth, Dad happened to see him in town, and he come out and he picked up the tracks, and he followed those tracks clear to Tuolumne Lake, and then back to east of White Earth by what we always called the old gravel pit, and then he lost the tracks, but a cougar. And it's interesting, we've had them here all these years. DNR would never admit that there was cougars in Minnesota, but they had a den over at my old place on that coulee that goes out of there onto George Zima's farm. And we'd see cougars there all the time. And so did Zimas that live a mile north of me. They'd see them over there all the time. I was in the 11th Airborne Division for a while, and then actually, after a bit, I was transferred down to the 1st Cavalry Division because they wanted to put a band together. So I auditioned, and then I got in the 1st Cavalry Division band.
What did you play?
I played string bass and bass horn. I played bass horn in high school, and then the string bass I taught myself how to play in the Army because they had an old one that was wired together with baling wire, and the brass said, "Oh, you can't be doing shows all over the Far East Command with a bass that's wired together." They shipped me a new one. Yeah.
Wow. And so
I still play that string bass, though. I still do that. We have a group gets together on Tuesdays in our church, and we just everybody takes a turn on lead, and we have a great time. I play on Sundays in church, and then I also am the bassist with Doc and the Scrubs in Detroit Lakes, and we have a good band, good musicians, yeah. When I was playing with bands in Tokyo, I played with 5 different bands. I played with a 110-piece marching band with bass horn, and then I played with a 72-piece concert band with string bass, and I played with a 5-piece jazz combo, piano, bass, drums, trumpet, and tenor sax, 2 great jazz men that went on to play jazz until they passed away. And then I was with the 124th All-Pacific Command Band, which was in Yamaha, Japan. And that was 20 miles apart, so I had a special pass that I could be between one town and the other any time of the day and night, so I didn't miss any of my engagements. But I love playing.
And the last one is the one you were with General MacArthur.
Yeah, that was he's the one that named our band. We played a Christmas Eve concert, and it's full of GIs at the Ernie Pyle Theater, and that's in downtown Tokyo. Anyway, it's full of GIs, but it's warm, and the doors were open, and as far as you could see, there was Japanese people listening. And he went around, he and his aides, and invited everybody in. And the last number we played was Silent Night, and they turned the lights all out. Of course, we kept playing, and then they put them back on. And every GI had their handkerchief up to their eyes. They were crying, and so were the Japanese people. There wasn't a dry eye in that place. And that's when General MacArthur named our band the Jazz Ambassadors. Yeah, I was the bassist with a 16-piece jazz dance band, and so they're still in existence. They're stationed in Washington D.C. now. Yeah.
Wow. When you say it was General MacArthur's band, what does that mean?
Well, he had a 32-piece little marching band, but they were his personal band, and they called it the All-Pacific Command Band, the 123rd. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. I got to shake hands with him. Yeah. And it was kind of interesting because I always had trouble talking to people until I met him, and I thought, hey, if I can visit with General MacArthur, I can talk and visit with anybody. Yeah.
So what does a paratrooper do?
Oh, well, you were a soldier, that's it.
Does that mean
you jumped
out of planes?
Yeah, you jumped out of the planes, yeah. And I also was a qualified gliderman. And that was interesting because those gliders were pulled by a mother plane, three of us, three gliders behind each plane on different length cords. And with 105 hawsers roped down inside, and that glider was made of balsam wood and canvas. That was it.
I've never heard of that.
I haven't
So you
Yeah, that was,
you were in a different plane. You were in this glider.
yeah, we jumped out of the airplanes, but we landed with the gliders. Yeah, they come into your area you were going to take over, and they just run you in a spiral like that and land on the ground. Then you take out those hawsers and start firing. Yeah.
What plane did you jump out of? The glider or the maid plane?
The planes we jumped out of. The first ones we jumped out of was the old C-46. You went out the side door, and you better drop when you went out the door, or your chute could catch on the tail, and then that was psst. Yeah, seen it happen. Yeah.
And I'm still not understanding the glider. So the glider was being towed.
Yeah, it was towed by a mother plane until you drop it area where you landed.
And you were in the glider.
Yes.
And then they would release the rope,
Yes,
and the glider would twirl down.
yeah, yeah. And then that glider sat on 3 planks, and then it was roped down, yeah, so that it would stay there.
How did you control the glider and where it went?
Well, there was a Air Force guy was the pilot. He flew the glider, yeah.
And how many people would be in the glider?
30 of us, what we called 30-man stick, yeah, 15 on each side, yeah.
How big were they?
How big? They weren't that big. They weren't any bigger than this room.
What was it like riding in that?
Rough.
I bet.
Yeah, because you were up and down. Yeah. Thank goodness I never got sick.
What was it like to jump out of a plane?
That's a different story entirely. Yeah, yeah. Your first jump, you have no idea what's happening, and you had to make so many jumps to be qualified. See, and then you had to keep jumping to stay qualified. Yeah. But you went down with what you called a half pack or a combat pack in your rifle, of course. And, the ammunition was dropped in boxes at the drop site with other planes. See.
Do you have any advice for people?
Oh gosh. Be happy. It doesn't do any good to be sad. Yeah. I've been lucky. I've had a good life. Yeah, and I still get to do quite a bit of the things that I enjoy doing yet. I love playing. And I'm in a different world when I'm playing. Hard work never hurt anybody. We worked sometimes 18 hours a day, and so did everybody else. Yeah. Wisdom. I'm not wise enough to give anybody information.
Is there something that you're most proud of?
Oh, I'm proud of my family. Like I tell everybody, I have the best family of anybody in the world. That I really believe in. They're all good people. They're hardworking. They're honest. Their word is good. That's the man. One thing I can remember, the banker on Ogama when I first started banking with him. He says, one thing, your dad's word is as good as any man's bond. And that's what I've kind of always kept in the back of my mind. And you had to tell the truth, no matter what.
Essentia Health, our presenting sponsor, is proud to bring you Words of Wisdom. And TV3 and LB Video Productions.